What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Nursing Uncharted, the podcast that helps you discover uncharted territories within your nursing practice. I'm Maggie Reichard. I'm a full-time medical ICU nurse and your host for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening today. If you're new to our channel, welcome. If you're an avid listener, I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast, and I truly appreciate your support immensely. If you love your job and want to attract others to your specialty, shoot me an email at nursinguncharted@amnhealthcare.com and let's talk about your job. I'm always looking for ambassadors who work in unique specialties within nursing, and I love talking to people that will motivate others to seek their calling. This episode is sponsored by AMN Passport. AMN Passport is a highly rated travel nursing app that helps you find, book, and manage travel nurse assignments all from your phone. So that puts you in the fast track towards your next travel assignment. So if you're in the market for a travel assignment, be sure to check that out. So today we've got a cool realm of nursing, one that we haven't highlighted on the podcast yet, and one that is pretty popular as people shift from bedside to procedural units, and that is interventional radiology. If you've ever wondered what IR is like, this is the episode for you. We're going to delve right into what it's like and, if it's right for you. I'm sitting down with Didi Finder. He is a former flight and ICU nurse, EMT, basic and returned Peace Corps volunteer who has worked in healthcare for over 20 years. He's been awarded several nursing awards for his excellence in patient care, and he has a deep respect for first responders and nurses, which drove him to publish his first book titled Ready Left, Ready Right, which is a book that showcases the intelligence, dedication, sacrifice, and compassion of his coworkers. He lives with his wife in Colorado and still works as an RN in interventional radiology. So Didi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Maggie, for having me on here. This is a huge honor. Anytime I get to sit down and talk to a MICU nurse, is just I couldn't wait for it.
Yeah, we get to nerd out a little bit.
I get to nerd out. I'm even under the weather today, so
you're such a trooper about. And feel if you want to share that story, you totally can. Or
2 nights ago, I'm in the ER at 3:00 in the morning because I was vomiting so violently, and I was in the like you said, I was in the Peace Corps. I know GI issues. You name it, I've had it. But that was the worst abdominal pain I ever had. I mean, to the point that it drove me, or my wife drove me to the hospital that I work at 3:00 in the morning. It's bad.
Don't want to go. Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm like, oh God, please, no Foley. No.
Yeah, right. No.
So they gave me 4 milligrams of morphine, a whole bunch of Zofran, and the pain slowly went away. But I was, today's like 36 hours afterwards, I guess I'm at right now. And I'm feeling a little bit better, but I still been eating only crackers and bananas. But I couldn't wait to come on this podcast because I have the best kept secret in the hospital. I do.
Yeah.
And it's IR. Like it's
awesome.
One of the most amazing jobs I've had as a nurse because of the work-life balance. So I'm super excited to talk about it.
I'm super excited for you to talk about it too. And I'm thank you so much for putting your medical things, aside for an hour so we can talk about this. Cause I've had gastroenteritis before. I had the norovirus once, and I had the sapovirus, which is like the cousin of the norovirus. But again, vomiting, like all the GI things for, 24 hours. You can't keep anything down. It's just awful.
It's awful. When it comes out of both ends, you're in for a long night.
Yeah. Just like sleeping in the bathroom. Oh
yeah. I was in the left lateral position, right on the bathroom floor, crying. I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
And I was crying in so much pain. So today is way better, but still a little bit on the mend. So I'm drinking some tea, some fluids.
Yes.
Trying to keep it down.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. So I want to just talk about, you've been in healthcare for 20 years. You've worked in all these different, aspects of critical care and different, parts of the healthcare system. So tell me a little, I just want to know about your road to IR and, what has led you there.
So, like you said, I've been in healthcare for a lot of years. My first
Mm.
experience in healthcare was in Peace Corps. And then after Peace Corps, I stayed in Guatemala and became an executive director of a nonprofit organization. At one point, I was getting pretty big down there in the sense of I was making these huge decisions that would affect the health of a community, but I didn't know
Mm.
anything about medicine. I didn't know what diabetes was. I didn't even know what a systolic blood pressure meant. So I came back
Mm.
to the States with the goal of becoming a nurse, and then moving back down to Latin America to continue my journey into
Okay.
public health. But when I came back to this country, I I started getting into my prereqs for nursing, I discovered that flight nursing was a thing. Like I can be in a helicopter
Yeah,
and
that's pretty sick.
do some cool stuff. So my shift, which was public health, went to the complete opposite, which was flight nursing. Flight nursing, public health is just totally different.
You're right.
So
Yeah.
I dedicated the next almost 15 years of my life trying to become a flight nurse and then becoming a flight nurse.
Okay.
The decision to become a flight nurse, if somebody who's listening to this right now and has no nursing experience in today's day one that they want to become a flight nurse, they're probably not stepping on a helicopter for about 9 years, 9 to 10 years,
Yeah.
because you got to go through school and then you got
Right.
to get at least 5 years of experience.
Yeah.
So in nursing school, I decided I want to become a flight nurse. After I got out of nursing school, like yourself, I was in a step down unit for a year and then went into the ICU for about 6 years. And then I became a flight nurse for 5 more years.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a flight nurse, I started running into some problems towards the end where sleep deprivation was really getting to me.
Mm.
And I was working in a hostile work environment. So I decided that for my benefit of my health, and for my family, I needed to leave flight nursing. And at that time, I went back to what I knew, and what I knew was ICU. However, it
Yeah.
was COVID, the Delta variant was going on. It was a horrible time to go
Yeah.
back
From
into
one
ICU
toxic
nursing.
environment to the
Oh
next.
my
Yeah.
God. I went back into an ICU. Now, my experience in ICU was level one, UNMH, Albuquerque. You get the crazy of the craziness down there. So ECMO, Impella devices,
Mm-hmm.
Swan devices, balloon pumps, all of that.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was a great experience. And I went to when I went back during COVID, I went to a level two. So I thought, a little bit of a smaller hospital, but that just didn't matter. It was COVID. It was all
Yeah.
crazy. Wherever you went, it was just nuts.
Right.
And quickly burns myself out after
Mm-hmm.
about 7 months and seeing what was going on. And also being like one of the older nurses there. I'm in my mid 40s, and all of a sudden I'm looking around. I'm like, wow, I'm one of the oldest nurses on
Yeah.
this floor now. This is a
Scary.
young person's game, and I'm not that young anymore.
Yeah.
And seeing how administrators were treating us, I was very
Mm-hmm.
close to leaving the profession.
Yeah.
I wanted to become an acupuncturist. I had my application almost filled out, and I was about to quit nursing when I started looking around for other jobs. And
Mm.
luckily, Interventional Radiology popped up
Mm.
at a different hospital I was working in. So I interviewed. And the manager at the time said, "Congratulations, you just found the hospital's best kept secret." And like any other nurse that starts a new job, you're kind of hesitant to
Yeah.
everybody
Right. You're
says
like,
that.
okay. Yeah. You're trying to sell me on this.
Yeah, here's the Kool-Aid, drink it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's gonna have that, but this is the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I went into it kind of hesitating because I don't know about you, but when I was in the MICU, I knew almost nothing about the IR.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a couple IR procedures. Like I've been to like a, perc neff tube once or, but it's like I don't really know. Yeah, I'm there to monitor the patient and give pain meds if I need to and, but like yeah, it is a kind of a, I don't know what's going on down there.
Yeah, when I was in ICU, I probably went a handful of times down to the IR
Yeah.
in Albuquerque. And the first time I went down there, I was like, okay, so are there nurses in here? Like, I didn't know the roles of anybody. Everybody's wearing the same type of scrubs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hesitant starting the job. And within 1 week, I realized that my manager was absolutely correct, that this is the hospital's best kept secret. I can't wait to tell you guys about it.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit before we shift away from your background, because I want to get into a couple things that you said about the background. And, I think people that are nursing students or, and maybe interested in flight nursing, like, I want to talk a little bit about your experience with like difficult environments and like what did that look like in the flight nursing realm? Like what made it a toxic environment there? Because I feel like every time I think about flight nursing, I just think about how cool it is and like, maybe it's intimidating to like be on your own up there. That's my perspective of it. But like, what was the most difficult part about it for you?
I think if you're looking at a hostile work environment or a toxic work environment, you can look up the definitions online. But for me, it was three things. One, not being supported by your administrators. Two, not feeling like you couldn't speak up.
Yeah.
Three, you're getting rated up for everything.
Yeah.
So micromanagement. And many other things. But the environment that I worked at, as a flight nurse, you need support from administrators. You're going to be put in some difficult situations and you're going to make your best, at times, guess about what's the right thing to do with the patient.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that weather is always a factor.
Yeah.
So that adds an element of weirdness that us nurses are not used to because we work in a stationary environment. We don't have to worry about transporting a patient from A to B.
Sure.
Think about when you're in the ICU and you have to transport your patient to MRI.
Yeah.
And how much of a pain in the ass that is.
Yeah.
If they're on a bunch of pumps. Now imagine transporting that same patient across state lines.
Yeah. Like they're super unstable. We're not going. I'm sorry. Like an MRI is a diagnostic test. We're not finding anything that we're going to emergently do. Like I'm not going. I just did that the other day. I was like, no, absolutely not. But I can't imagine if they were like, no, you are going and you're going with the RT and, and good luck. That's it.
And the weather's a little crappy outside. And so you're going to have to load up your patient who's on an Impella device.
Yeah.
So you're going to want support from your administrators to back you up. And the administrators I was working for cared more about the uniform than the person. So if you made the company look bad, they were going to write you up and come down on you. They also did not support nurses and paramedics resting on shift. Now, as a nurse in the ICU, you do not have time to rest. It is 12 hours. It's a 12-hour sprint.
Right.
The difference between ICU nursing and flight nursing is that flight nursing, you might run 0 calls a shift. You might have nothing. You might be sitting at the base with 10 minutes to go and you're about to clock out. And then this horrific call will drop that will put you over the 12-hour limit. So now you are working possibly 16 hours. How well rested are you?
Yeah.
So if you're not running a call as a flight nurse, you should be resting. You should be even trying to sleep. So when the call does drop, you are rested. As a flight nurse, you wear night vision goggles. If you're tired and you get called out to a scene and you have night vision goggles on and you're not spotting the wires that could down your helicopter and kill everybody on board, then what's the point of having stayed up all night, staying awake just because an administrator told you that you need to stay awake?
Yeah.
The same administrator would actually walk around at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to catch us sleeping.
That's insane.
There's many more extreme examples, but the point is, it was micromanagement. It was not us not able to speak up. When we did speak up, we would get yelled at or written up. And if we did mess up on a call, we were going to get written up for that. I remember my first flight as a flight nurse, different company. This is a different example. I dropped a patient. Totally my fault. Patient was on the stretcher. We're pulling the stretcher out of the ambulance, and I disengaged this bar that connects this little S hook in the back of the ambulance that allows the stretcher, the wheels to drop down. I was trying to troubleshoot why my partner was having so much trouble with the wheels underneath the stretcher to disengage. And I incorrectly disengaged the sway bar that was back there. The patient dropped out of the ambulance. Luckily, they didn't tip over. And I could say that's a big deal. Like we
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I felt like absolute shit that day, and I wanted to quit nursing. I wanted to
Yeah.
quit flight nursing. My boss takes me aside. She said that this is something we can train out of you. Doesn't write me up. Encourages me to stay in the field. Says you're going to be a good flight nurse. You just need more training. That's a good boss.
That's a good boss.
That's
Yeah.
a really good boss, and that's not what at the last organization I worked for. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And plus, with being a little bit sleep deprived, chronically sleep deprived, not a little bit, but chronically sleep deprived, I had to be so on top of my game that if I felt I was slipping, which I feel like I was, I didn't feel safe there anymore.
Yeah.
I also noticed a very high divorce rate around flight nursing. Flight nursing, and I think ICU and ER, you're all kind of in the same boat. That it is a very high stress job, and you give a lot of yourself to the job.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, I don't think there's much of a work-life balance. ICU perhaps a little bit more than flight nursing, but flight nursing, absolutely not. A lot of my days off, I would be charting. A lot of my days off, I'd be training.
Yeah.
And I was totally cool with that. But after a certain period, when you're newly married, or you want to start having a little bit of a life for yourself.
Yeah.
If you're working for a company that won't support that, that's another reason that that's another reason I left.
Yeah. That's good that you were able to identify that and be like, look, this is gonna, mess me up in more ways than one, and like affect my ability to like live a healthy lifestyle, and that you needed to change. It sucks that it happened in COVID, going back to an ICU, but
or serendipitous. Yeah, it was an experience, because I would have maybe have stayed there if it wasn't for COVID. I might have been unhappy. There's a time where if you're in the ICU or ER, you might reach a point. I think working there 20 years is no longer realistic.
Yeah.
Not with our current state, not with how healthcare is going.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up in the ICU, a lot of my preceptors had been there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
When I went back to the ICU, I wasn't seeing that anymore. I wasn't seeing those career-long ICUers or career-long ERs.
Yeah.
They were constantly shuffling around now.
Yeah.
And there is no, I think because there lacks a work-life balance in some of those units.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, and you can't fault those people for leaving either. Like this is just the hand that we were dealt, I think, in healthcare. Like, those people put in decades of time, and COVID was the straw that broke the camel's back, I think, in so many, people were just ready, but it has left us with a very young, group of new clinicians. And it is daunting to be like one of the older people. Like I've only been a nurse for 9.5 years, but I'm, one of the oldest, clinicians on the unit. And it's kind of I've only been in the ICU for maybe 3 years now. And, it is daunting to be one of the older, like more experienced people, like you were saying before, being one of the oldest ones. Like it's when you're in a room in a code and you are you're the most experienced one.
It's nuts to think that like you now are one of the older ones, where a few years ago you were looking up to what the older nurses there. Now it's like you're it. But I think you're at the 3-year mark in the ICU.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the time that you start precepting. Imagine, are you precepting as well now? Yeah. So you're like well into that. Mm-hmm. Where back when I was, like I said, I grew up in the ICU. You would start precepting maybe around 2 years to 3 years, but a lot of the older preceptors have been doing it for like literally decades.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I mean, now like some of the Clin 2s are precepting after like a year, and like at that point, like you are teaching new grad nurses, like going through the motions of how to do certain, skills, but, and like, how to respond appropriately to things. But like that like high level expert knowledge can't be passed on. There's because like those Clint 2s are still trying to find that within themselves.
Well, when I moved to the IR,
Mm.
that the situation we're talking about now is having older preceptors and being one of the oldest ones in the ICU. I am now not the youngest one, but I am not the oldest one.
Yeah.
Like we are all in our 40s and above that work in the IR, and everybody there has been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
Everyone has come from ICU or ER, literally 15, 18 years of experience, and then was getting burned out, decide that they want to elongate their career a little bit, and luckily found the IR.
Yeah.
And it's not a place to go. It's not a place that ICU or ER nurses go to die.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that expression.
Definitely heard that expression before.
I would argue against that, and hopefully by the end of that, people will see like, no, you're actually still using some of your skills, not all
Yeah.
your skills, but it's
But a
not a
lot
job
more
that
than-
a lot more than you would think.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the skills that you want to do.
Do you feel like people that, I mean, like you said, a lot of people that were burned out from bedside, end up going to IR or procedural areas? Do you feel like, or did you experience, coming into IR like with a sense of like, like guard up jadedness that kind of like melted away after a little bit?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Good example of this is that if you're in the ICU, you would never, ever establish a relationship with the patient.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And
It's hard.
I
You like
established
protect
the
your heart.
relationship. Yeah. And like even telling you this, I'm feeling cringy because I feel like people aren't going to understand this. But it's just an example. I connected with a patient, older patient, and during the pre-procedure, you have some time to talk to them about that patient, and you can
Yeah.
kind of read them about how you can read how anxious they are about a
Yeah.
procedure. And I just started telling him stories. I started making him feel relaxed. And after the procedure, he's like, you know what? If you, here's my number. I would love to have breakfast with you sometime. And the old me in the ICU would be like, oh, yeah, thanks a lot. I'll call you.
Never.
No, never. But this one, I felt different about it. And that wall was starting to come down that you talked about.
Yeah.
Because they're there for different reasons. Typically, patients that go to the IR, most of them are outpatient. So they're there, not that they want to be there, but they kind of want to be there. If they really didn't want to be there, they wouldn't be there.
Right.
They're following up and they're invested into their own healthcare. Or in the ICU, that's maybe not necessarily the case.
Right.
I mean, how many patients are found out and then end up into the ICU?
They're
So
like
it's
in
a
the
different-
worst situation of their life. They're not in a position to, sometimes you're the scapegoat, sometimes, or they're just, you just meet all walks of life in there, Yeah.
A
it's
lot of my
different.
patients I meet when they're standing up and walking. ICU patients, zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Right.
that one that was, having alcohol withdrawals and storming around the room, and the day shifter
Right.
didn't do a good job with
You
keeping
don't
up with
want
the
your
CWA
patient
protocol.
standing ever.
Yeah, no.
Or else they're going to the floor. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you meet your patient standing up, it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
And so I went out to breakfast with this guy, and we're friends to this day. Like I can text him right now. And it's, again, that is something I would never do in the ICU, but it's an example of that wall starts to break down.
Yeah.
I can say though, it's not like the wall is completely gone. If I get that feeling, that's because of doing it for so long in the
Yeah.
ICU and flight nursing, that uneasiness that
Yeah.
can come back really quickly. And I'm not going to be like, well, maybe he's like my other friend now, and I just need to like give him my number. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you can like, I remember a moment like that when I started traveling, because I was really burned out as an acute care nurse in my like first job. And then I started traveling, and I felt like I saw different, ways that nurses practice. And I found, I feel like I experienced like more relaxed nurses for the first time, or like, the expectation on myself was, it didn't have the same like, aggressiveness behind it. Like I wasn't as anxious. I wasn't as anxious of a nurse. And I remember like, I used to be so rigid in like, I was like a robot at work. Like I couldn't give any of myself to my patients because like I felt like I gave so much to them already that like letting them see like, true personal things about myself was I was giving way too much away. And I think I remember, like one of the first times that I actually like told a patient like, about something in my personal life. And I was like, this is a different nurse. This is a different me. And like, I realized that I felt like I was healing, traveling that was my way that I got over my like burnout, is that like I needed to leave. Sometimes you just need to leave.
It's an option. That's the great thing about nursing, is that unlike being a doctor, we're not tied into a specialty. We can, you're sick of your place that you work in, you want to go travel, you can go travel. Sick of traveling, you can find a location and work there. Sick of adults, go with the peds. Sick of the kids, go with the adults. Want to try something new? Go to IR.
Yeah, right. So let's talk about IR. Let's get into it. Let's talk about, I want to know, all things IR. Talk about some of the maybe like common procedures. What like types of patients do you normally see? We'll start there.
All right. So we do about 70 different procedures in IR. Unlike cath lab.
We'll only do a handful. Let's talk about a handful.
Unlike cath lab that focuses on one little part of the body, we do pretty much everything else.
Okay.
I'd say the most common procedures, though, are port placements, biopsies, neph tubes, bronchoscopies, and cerebral angiograms. Majority of patients are outpatients, but we do probably about 30 to 40% inpatient. Inpatient, most common are probably some type of line placement, so like a vas cath, sometimes even a central line.
Yeah. Okay.
Biopsies inpatient. Neph tubes are a big one that we do inpatient as well.
Yeah.
A lot of our outpatients can also become inpatients. So a cerebral angiogram is when we take access the femoral artery, take a guide wire, snake it up into the head, and then we do some type of intervention. So say, for example, if somebody has like an AV fistula, then we can make an intervention, put some coils up there to kill off the blood flow to that fistula area, and then they are going to stay overnight because we got to do neuro checks every 15 minutes. So then they would go to the ICU.
Sure.
So it's a nice mix of patients. It's a nice mix of procedures. We're not doing the same procedure over and over again.
Right.
And I should back up. Every IR that you go to is going to be different.
Sure.
So the IR that I'm in, I'll tell you how our flow works, but it's not necessarily going to be the same flow as in your hospital, Maggie.
Yeah.
There's also IR outpatient procedures where they do the same procedure over and over again. They specialize in ports or prostate artery embolization. So if you're a nurse working in an outpatient IR, I highly doubt you're going to be doing the 70 different procedures, but I could be wrong. But chances are your doctor is going to be specialized, or that doctor is specializing in a handful of procedures.
Gotcha.
Where I get to work, I work with many different doctors, many different specialties. So the variety is insane.
Yeah.
My day, can I start there? How the day starts off?
Yeah.
Cool thing about where I work, there's about 700 reasons why where I work is awesome. Just 700.
Only 700.
And I've listed them all.
Yeah, here we go.
Here we go. So different start times. If you're an early bird person, you can have the 6:30 a.m. start. If you want to start a little bit later, you can start at 8 o'clock. I actually went to my boss and said, I would like to start at 7:30. And there was 6:30, 7, and 8, but there was no 7:30. And the reason why I want to start at 7:30 is so I can go to my 6 a.m. jiu-jitsu class with my wife.
Oh, cool.
Totally selfish reason.
Work-life balance. That's
my
not
boss was like,
selfish.
cool, let's do it. And I even presented that, like, I think this is going to help because the 7:30 start time would help us with some of the later procedures. So my boss was cool and lets me start at 7:30. So my day starts at 7:30. You get there, you have a whiteboard that has all the different procedures and the patient's names and the doctors on the board. And then the charge nurse assigns you to which procedure that you're going to go to.
Okay.
Sometimes the charge nurse, I speak Spanish, having lived in Latin America a lot. So if there's a Spanish speaking client or patient, I'm taking that one. We have a Russian speaking nurse. So the Russian speaking nurse is going to take that one. That's kind of obvious.
Okay.
But typically you're going to get who you're going to get to based off of your start time.
Okay.
The way we do it is, unless it's an emergency, an inpatient emergency, all inpatient procedures will go later in the day.
Yeah.
All outpatient, non-emergent procedures will be the first ones.
Yeah. Scheduled.
So scheduled, correct. I always thought it was, weird as an inpatient nurse when I was in the ICU. Is like, why aren't inpatients going first? They're the most critical, the most urgent. And I guess the reason is it's so hard to schedule that.
Yeah.
You just don't know tomorrow what's going to be available. There's days where we don't have any inpatient procedures.
Right.
And the outpatient procedures are, in a sense, just as important, and they've been waiting too.
Yeah. And inpatient people are available in the house. It's like kind of, you can plug and play them like where you have room. So
again, though, if any of this is emergency, then all goes out the door. The emergency gets seen first.
Yeah.
An F2 might be an emergent situation too. If that patient's going septic and they need one in, then they're gonna jump the line. So you get your inpatients first. I'm sorry, you get your outpatients first, and those are could be a longer procedure. So we get sometimes the longer procedures done first part of the day, and then as the day progresses, they start to become hopefully shorter. For example, a thoracentesis. We do a lot of thoracentesis, paracentesis. I feel like we do a lot of those in the afternoon. Those are pretty short.
Yeah.
My first procedure, when they come in, depending on what it is, I may start an IV on them, or I may not. I want to say half of our cases are nursing sedation. The other half are anesthesia cases.
Okay.
The nursing sedation, just like the anesthesia cases, I'm starting an IV on them, and I'm getting them ready as if I were to give the sedation, but instead the anesthesiologist is doing that.
Sure, okay.
So I ask them all the pertinent background questions. When's the last time you ate? Well, the last time you drank?
Yeah.
Any allergies, blood thinners, blood pressure. So go over their pertinent past medical history, get their IV, like I said, explain to them what the procedure is, explain to them what the recovery time is. And then the anesthesiologist will come, consent them. Our doctor will come, consent them. And then it's go time. We do the procedure. And if it is anesthesia, we bring them up to the PACU. If it's not anesthesia, and if I'm the one that gave moderate sedation, then I recover them. And that is the difference between my IR and other IRs. In my IR, I start the case from, I'm the guy from the beginning to the end. Yeah. Okay. Other IRs, they will have one IR nurse start the case, another IR nurse that does the case, and then a third IR nurse potentially that will finish the case.
Right.
I'm a fan of how we do it because I get to really know the patient. I really get to make them relax, and they like to see kind of a similar face when they wake up. Yeah.
Continuity of care. You know how everything went, and
yes. Not that game of telephone where you tell one person one thing and then
I think it went fine. I think they got everything. I don't know.
And then explaining to the family as well, after who the wife is or the husband is or the family is, and you've already hopefully made that connection so you can explain how the procedure went. And 99% of the time procedures go great.
Do you have to do any labs or imaging or anything beforehand? Or do they do that in the outpatient setting before they get there?
Thank you. So that's a great question. Yes, we do we do labs. If they're inpatient, they probably already have labs. If they're
Yeah.
outpatient, and typically the labs that we're getting are at the very least a CBC. So we want to know if we're going to poke a hole in somebody, we're going to want to know what their H&H is and platelets are. If they're on blood
Yeah.
thinners, we're going to do an INR. And then in some cases, if we're going to be using a lot of contrast, we want to know how well their kidneys are working. So we're going to grab a Chem 7 to look at their creatinine levels and their GFR. So basically those three. And also sometimes a type and screen. Some procedures is more of a risk of bleeding. One of the cases, one of the surgeries or procedures, because we don't do surgery, but one of the procedures that we do that I really like are the cryo cases where we'll literally freeze cancer. Or if they
Yeah.
have some type of kidney cancer, we'll put these probes in that go into like negative 30 degrees Celsius and we'll just freeze the cancer cells. So there's a little bit higher risk of bleeding there. Typically want to get a type and scream on that one.
It is so wild the amount of things that we can do just by like putting a catheter up into somebody's like vessels. Like I was talking, actually, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were talking about valve replacements. How you can like go in and do a valve replacement, but like a robotic, like they like replace the whole valve. With like, I'm like, how do you get it up there? I don't like. It's
Yeah.
so foreign to me.
Stop the valve from flapping in the first place to put it in there. Like the whole, yeah. One
Wild.
really cool procedure that we do is a kyphoplasty. Have you heard of this?
No.
All right. Someone breaks their vertebral body. So typically it's an
Oh,
elderly
okay.
person
Okay. Yeah.
falls,
Yeah.
or just sometimes osteoporosis or even cancer will invade the vertebral body and so the spine, and it'll crack it open.
Yeah.
We will knock them out and then put surgical cement into their vertebral body
That's an IR
to fix it.
procedure. I thought
Yeah.
that was like, well, I'm thinking of from like my neurosurgery like background. You know, they'll go in and do that when it's open, but that's wild that you can do that in IR.
Yeah. And so they'll walk in with a lot of pain and then will, within an hour after the procedure, be able to stand up
Yeah.
and then have, hopefully they're in way less pain and can go home after they recover in the PACU.
It's awesome.
It's a really cool,
It's so
satisfying procedure.
satisfying.
Yeah. And that's one of the great things about my job is that unlike being a flight nurse or ICU, I felt a lot of times you're kicking the can down the road. The typical example you'd give is the GI bleeder. GI bleeder comes in, you scope them, they're on pressors, you give them blood products, and you extubate them, and they're doing better, and they go home, and then you see them 2 to 3 months later.
Yeah.
You know, or the diabetic patient that can't control his diabetes for whatever reason, or doesn't want to, is non-compliant with his medications, and then you're seeing him again for DKA in the future.
Yeah.
Down in IR, typically patients come in with a problem and they leave with an answer.
Yeah.
So every day I feel like making a difference because we're doing something gratifying. And we get to, unlike a lot of nursing, we get to see the resolution of that problem.
Yeah, that's huge because there's so often you just see, you know, your 12-hour snippet of trying to keep somebody alive and you're like, I don't know, hopefully we did the right, you know, I hope, you know, that they leave and can, you know, go to the floor or go home. But like you said, you just, you know, these are chronically ill people most of the time. And, you know, it's nice to be in an environment where you can like see the fruits of your labor and like immediately, you know, if somebody has a clot, you just take the clot out,
Yeah.
you know, instead of like, sometimes it's nice to have, you know, cut and dry, you know, scenarios like that.
Yeah. And even bad scenarios, like someone has a newly diagnosis of cancer and is coming in for a port, we're giving them a weapon against cancer.
Yeah.
A port is what they're going to need to help fight against this horrible disease. And if they didn't have that port, one, their veins are going to be totally shot, and two, they might not be able to continue to receive chemotherapy because they have no more vasculature.
Right.
But a port gives them a weapon.
Yeah.
And it's even better when they come back and we deport them. We take the port out.
And that's great.
And the next day too, we will call patients. So not only like when you leave the ICU and you're like, oh, I wonder how they did. And then you have to, you know, call when you run into, when you go back like the next week and you run into a coworker and you're asking like, hey, what happened with that patient? No, typically we're calling the next day to see how they are doing, and we get to
Okay.
hear how we did, which is awesome. That like, oh yeah, Dee Dee did awesome with this patient, and
Yeah,
then we're
yeah.
thanking you. Like that's so gratifying.
Yeah, you get that feedback, that like, closed loop. How
Yeah.
many patients will you end up seeing in a day? Like you.
Yeah. So the busiest day I ever had was 5 patients.
Okay.
That's a busiest day I've ever had. A lot
Mm,
of days, I would say the average is about three, two to
okay.
three.
And that's you working like start to finish with those patients.
Right.
Yeah.
The 5 case day was some of them were like thoracentesis cases. Thoracentesis cases, I'm not starting an IV. I'm checking them in because thoracentesis can be outpatients as well. It's not
Yeah.
just inpatient.
Sure.
They're having trouble breathing. They come in and do a thoracentesis. That takes about 45 minutes.
Mm.
Another great thing about my job, 1-to-1.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not worried about what's going on in my other room
Yeah.
or trying to navigate. Yeah, trying to juggle multiple things. And
Sure.
sometimes that happens where there's an overlap where I have a very easy case that I'm finishing up and I need to start another case. So there's sometimes a little bit of an overlap, but that is
Hmm.
not ideal and that is not the norm. The
Yeah.
norm is start to finish. You're done. You have your charting done. You may even have time to go get a quick snack and go to the bathroom before you start your other case.
Yeah. That's so nice. And like, all of your responsibility, you don't have to be anywhere else but here and now and present with this patient and focusing on them. Yeah, that's huge.
Well said, because when they're coming in, they are probably very worried about the procedure. So to be able to look them in their eyes and then just explain, like, we're going to be okay. We got this.
Yeah. Right. And they
As
probably see all these people that are, experienced and like they're like, oh, these people got me. Like they know what they're doing.
I'm one of the least experienced ones there.
Yeah,
I've been there for 2 years, but I've been a nurse since 2010, and I'm one of the least experienced ones there. So it's like, yeah, no, we're surrounded by well trained, well experienced nurses.
yeah.
But people still come in with a lot of fear, and that's something that
Mm,
I have gotten better as far as being more empathetic, as far as in
mm,
the ICU, you're doing your ABC checks and looking at your lines and everything. You get really good in honing in on what's missing in the room. When
yeah.
I see an outpatient walk through to my unit, I'm looking at them to see what's their body language. I'm able to read people way better now. And
Mm,
that is part of my care now, is helping them relax, helping them
yeah.
educating them and making sure that they have, even though they don't want to be there, but it's a good experience. I'm often
Yeah.
joking with my patients, like, today, um, I'm giving you drugs and we're listening to music. It's like it's just like the 60s,
Yeah.
you're going to have a good time today.
Yeah. Oh, that's I that's awesome that you can, introduce that, you know, part of nursing that I feel like we just don't have time for in a lot of circumstances. Certainly in bedside, it's like you have so many things that you are focusing on and, you're focusing on and trying to save the patient. But like for me, I'm a very empathetic person and it's hard for me to in some circumstances I feel like that side of like being compassionate to people has really been like beaten out of me in a lot of like scenarios, I think, because like there's so many opportunities for you to be, I started in neurosurgery. Everyone is in pain. Everyone is in like horrible chronic or post-surgical pain that's like, unremitting, or they were on, oxycodone, OxyContin, gabapentin, baclofen, they're on all of these things and like you want to take this pain away but you can't, or it's like so exhausting to be empathetic for people, for so long, and eventually you just kind of get numb to people's pain, and like that's horrible. Like I never wanted to be like that, but that's kind of like where nursing, led me. And then like being in the ICU, it's like, yeah, you've normalized the worst times in people's lives, and you're coding somebody that the person behind you has loved for decades. And it's like you physically cannot be there for that person because you're so focused. Like it's it takes such a toll. And so, knowing that you have time, like that ability to like be compassionate, and that's really refreshing. And I can see the appeal and the pull to that.
It helps nourish your soul as well because of
Yeah.
everything you just said. When
Yeah.
you spend, in my case, a decade in those situations where you're probably not as empathetic as you would like to be, because sometimes, frankly, you can't.
Yeah.
If, and like you said, in that situation where if you have the family that's standing right behind you and you're coding them, you're right now focused on the black and white. You're focused on what medications you're going to giving. What are the squiggly lines in your EKG reading? Can we
Yeah.
defibrillate? Can we not?
Yeah.
But in my situation, being able to let that guard down just a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
connect with people on a real level, which you cannot do in the ICU on a daily basis,
Yeah.
maybe once in a while. But if you
Yeah.
do, it's still with a little bit of a guard up. At least it was in my situation. And I don't
Yeah.
have a good answer for you, Maggie. When you come across those situations, that's where self-care comes in. That's where a good work-life balance, where you're able to
Yeah.
just de-stress in it and you come back into it the next day. But that's hard to do sometimes. I know it's hard for me to do in flight
Yeah.
nursing in the ICU.
I think it's a mindset shift. I mean, I don't expect myself to be able to be there, emotionally for all my patients anymore. That's just like a burden that you can't carry both. You can't, all the time. I mean, if you have the capacity to be there for somebody in that way, like that, great. Actually, one thing that I think my unit does really well that I love about my unit is that we get to pick our ICU assignments. And so that gives you the ability to be like, okay, this person is comfort care. I'm in a good mental space today where I could take that patient and I could really give them like a very respectful and great death. Or you're like, I just really want to do critical care today and just like be in my room all day and, lining and pressure titration and all of that. Like, I have that. I never had that at another job, and I think that makes all the difference because you're in control of the amount of, what you're going to experience during that day.
Or you don't want that patient back. You gave
Yes.
everything that you could
Yeah.
that day, and you're like, I need a break from this.
Yeah.
Because there's always that patient on the floor. Like, this is a one shift patient.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
do this for one shift, and then your hands are clean. You're out.
Yeah.
I agree. I worked in an ICU that I think I've actually worked in both, where you had the assignments given to you, and then you picked your assignments. And I
Mm-hmm.
definitely preferred picking my assignments, even though you always get to choose. Really, if
Yeah.
you're the last to pick, you're the last to pick.
Yeah.
But then you're back the next day, and if you're like, I don't want that assignment, you can
Yeah.
have that option.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it makes all the difference.
Down in IR, you can have that experience as well where I work. If you're
Mm-hmm.
if you know the type of procedure you're about to get into, and you're like, I just can't do another venogram today. Yeah, especially if it's
Can't do
one
it.
type of doctor that's out there. Won't name names, but
Yeah.
there's always that doctor that you're like, I just can't work with that particular doctor today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can ask, like, can I get off that and do another case? And we're all cool where we're like, we can watch each other backs and watch out for each other. And that's another
Cool.
great thing about working there. We're also experienced and worked there for so many years, maybe not so experienced in IR, but
Yeah.
just experienced in healthcare, that we know taking care of each other is the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That's so important. I know you said that your day starts at 7:30. How many hours do you work in a day?
We are scheduled for 10 and a half hour shifts. So, by the way, I hate when nurses are like, we only work 12s. No, you don't. You work 12 and a half. It's not,
Right. And we don't get
it's
paid
not,
for that.
yeah.
Half.
Anyway, and then my other like pet peeve, I'm sorry, I'm going off a tangent, but if you're a night shifter and then like you're about to go into work and then someone's like, you have tomorrow off. You're like, no, I don't. I'm working 6.5 hours. the
Yeah.
following day. That's
Right.
BS that I have tomorrow off.
And then I gotta
Like,
sleep at some point.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing. What
Half the
profession do
day.
you say you have the next day off when you're working 6.5 hours of that day?
I
There's
feel like
none.
that, yeah, you end up actually working like 4 days a week sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
like I work Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, but yeah, I end up, it's like, yeah, it's like, and not actually 3 days.
It's
It's
like
like
it's 4 days, and then like
4 days.
a half a day to recover, a full day to recover, and
Yeah. And
um,
then you're a zombie that next day.
uh,
Yeah.
so I work 10.5 hour shifts. You're scheduled for that. So this is an advantage and a disadvantage of working in IR is that a lot of times we do get out early. Awesome. If you
Mm-hmm.
have the PTO to cover that. So if you're really in need of a
Mm.
paycheck, but some of your hours are getting cut back because there's no patients, then you're going to have to dip into your PTO to make up for those hours.
Okay.
If you have a ton of PTO, or if you just don't want to get paid because you're getting let out early, cool. You're going to have more work life balance. You get to leave work early, 2 to 3 hours sometimes, and go do something. So I'm scheduled to get
Nice.
out of there by 6 o'clock. A lot of times I'm out by 4.
Okay.
And then I have the afternoon to myself.
Okay.
After working 12.5 hour shifts for a lot of my life, a 10.5 hour shift, I could still do things after work, which is
Yeah.
huge. Now, downfall of IR nursing, just like cath lab and PACU, is that you do have to do on call. Where
Sure.
I work, on average, I'm working one on call shift a week. I don't schedule it like that. I group all my on call shifts together. So an on call shift will start when everybody leaves. Last person leaves, the on call person starts their shift. So
Okay.
typically the on call shift is about 12.5 hours.
Do you have to stay at the hospital?
You get to go home.
Okay.
Now, where I work, you got to be within a half an hour.
Okay.
Being called back. If you get called back, this is a great thing. Unlike flight nursing, I got called out for a lot of BS calls. A lot of calls like, why are they taking a fixed wing plane to transport this patient? This in the middle of the night. Like for me, I'm like, somebody's trying to make a profit. This is not emergent.
Mm.
This patient probably could have even driven themselves there for like an elective gallbladder surgery, and they need a fixed wing. Like I'm not in agreement with this, but you have
Yeah.
no say. If
Yeah.
they call, you haul, you go.
Mm.
In the IR world, when you're on call, those middle of the night calls are filtered by an IR doc who will
Mm.
say, no, we don't need to do this in the middle of the night. We can do this tomorrow.
Cool.
Yes,
That's good.
very cool. So I would say about 25% of my on-call shifts, I'm getting called in.
Okay.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
So 70% of the time, I'm getting paid to sleep, hopefully.
Yeah.
Now, whether
Okay.
if you're able to sleep because you're on call is a different scenario. Sometimes you're just like, are they going to call me in? Are they going to call me in? Is my phone
Yeah.
on loud enough? So there's that angst about it. So you have to find a way of being able to block that out a little bit, make sure your phones are working, all charged up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then also, I don't want to wake up my wife at nighttime, so I do sleep in another bedroom. And I
Mm.
also think that's good because then I'm also not associating my bedroom with work at all. I have another room that I go to sleep in.
Mm.
Yep. So then
That's
there's no
smart.
like trauma related when it comes to that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I
Good
think
tip.
that's so important. Just have a separate bedroom or something.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
even the couch. But so I get
Yeah.
called in about 25% of the time. I get a whopping $5 an hour to be on call,
Okay.
which is an insult. $5 an hour, really?
But then if you get called in, is it, or you still make $5 an hour?
No, you get called in, you get time and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So if you get called in too, no matter how, you at least get paid 2 hours.
Yeah.
We get
Okay.
called in and it's only a 45-minute case and I'm out with an hour and 15 left. Like I'm getting paid for 2 hours.
Okay.
So I might be getting paid for an hour and 15 for having already left the hospital.
Okay.
Not bad.
That's, yeah.
My preference though, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sleeping.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd rather get paid $5 an hour to try to sleep than getting paid time and a half at 3 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning.
Are they normally like cut and dry cases, or are they normally like pretty complicated cases if it's emergent, in the middle of the night?
They can be both. An F tube
Yeah.
in the middle of the night that's a cut and dry case, but the patient's really septic. And if we don't get this in, they can't die.
Sure.
But as far as level of of intensity. It's not like a code white or a stroke in the middle of the night. Patients receiving blood products, and those are, the level of angst is increased.
Yeah.
In comparison, though, to flight nursing and ICU, yes, those are very stressful moments in the IR. Luckily, that doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Unlike flight nursing, God, there's a lot of calls can go south real quick. And your
Yeah,
shifts in
right.
the ICU, you can have a 12.5 hour marathon of just, you have to be on point the entire shift.
Right. Right. Like you can deal with like short bursts of stressful situations and then it's over.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes. Yeah. So it could be, 2 hours of stress, but then it's over.
Yeah, yeah.
And what an adrenaline dump you get too. Like you're like, oh, I'm good. And then you go home, you're like, oh my God, I'm tired.
Yeah. Do you you can easily go to sleep after that, after on-call shifts?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, I am an insomniac. I had to take Ambien for 10 years. And that's part of my story is how I got off of that. And one of the things that just a side note, one of the things that I'm doing with my book is that part of the proceeds will go to a nonprofit dedicated to helping first responders and soon nurses and educating them on how to sleep. I actually had to go through this nonprofit called 62 Romeo to learn how to sleep again, because my sleep patterns and habits were so bad. I would get so stressed out the night before an ICU or a flight shift that I'd be up all night just worried.
Yeah.
So for 10 years, I relied on Ambien for that. And IR is another reason why I love this job, is that it's not as stressful. I can go into it. I still have my sleepless nights, but it's a way better.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like it. I've been there before. I used to I didn't take any like prescriptions, but I would take, like melatonin, NyQuil, Benadryl. I would and then I would just count down the minutes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You take Benadryl and wine, you call it wine.
Yeah, wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and we know,
way.
of course, when you're taking Benadryl or wine, or in my case, Ambien, and you think you're sleeping, you're really not. You're not getting the deep REM sleep that you need to really rejuvenate yourself.
Yeah.
So IR, because it's less stressful, that's helping me with that. Now the on-call stuff, that's a little bit hard, considering that you're asking the insomniac to perform in the middle of the night, but I'll take it over what I used to do.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's markedly less probably than, every shift. It's a lot less. Yeah.
So other benefits of IR?
Yeah.
All right. In random order. One, you're getting paid more. So you have specialty pay.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about having a cert. When I was a flight nurse, I was a CFRN. In the ICU, I have my CCRN. Mm-hmm. When I was a step down nurse, I have PCCN. So I have 3 certs. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about that. In radiology, you have an RCN cert. I'm talking about you work in IR, you are automatically getting paid about $4 more an hour.
Nice.
Not bad.
Okay. I thought
not
it was
bad
a
at all.
lateral transfer.
Yeah. They, at least in my hospital, you're getting specialty pay on top of that.
Okay. Cool.
I don't have to worry about scrubs.
Yeah.
Walking home with C. diff scrubs and then try to isolate that from my family.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about that.
Come in street clothes. There's just something nice about coming into work on street clothes too. It's like you can isolate work at work. You're not bringing it home with you at all.
Yeah.
We used to do that during COVID because we had our COVID scrubs, and I was like, I don't know. There's just something nice about like coming in street clothes. I don't know.
You're walking in like a human and you get to walk out as a human.
Maybe
as
that's
opposed
it.
To have to I almost feel like you're working once you put the scrubs on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not really a 12.5 hour shift. It's with the commute. You got the scrubs, but it's so nice not having to worry about cleaning my own scrubs. Music. We listen to music all the time.
That's awesome.
And in the ICU, I remember introducing like music therapy or bringing in my phone. And at the time, Pandora was big before Spotify, and just asking the patient what they want to listen to. And I would play music that way, but that was not the norm.
Yeah.
In IR cases, the norm is we're listening to music.
That's awesome.
So it's way less. Music
That
is
just
huge.
immediately like makes it a less stressful environment.
Yes. Vendors bring in food all the time.
That's pretty great.
Which is good and bad. When you're getting fed like voodoo cookies or
Oh
donuts,
yeah.
but sometimes we get full on lunches as well.
That's man, I feel like we could just count on a pizza at work every shift during COVID. Like people would just, or like coffee, like the local coffee places would just like, we were just always stocked. Like this is nice. It's a nice perk of working here.
Yeah, that was kind of nice during COVID when they bring in some free food, but it was also what I felt was administrators like, here's our solution. We're not going to give you more nurses. We're just going to give you tacos from Costco.
Yeah, right.
They called you resilient and call you heroes, and hopefully you just put your head down and continue to be cogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not necessarily the case where I'm working now. Like, vendors, they have their reasons why they're bringing it in, but it's not to make us work more. It's just to, think of them when we want to buy a product.
Yeah,
and as nurses, we get to benefit from that. Less stress. I've already talked about that, but there's about 1/10 of the stress that I had in an ICU.
Yeah.
Like I said before, people come in with a problem, they leave with the answers. So I still feel like we're doing meaningful work. My IV skills are 100 times better than they ever were as an ICU or even a flight nurse.
Yeah.
I'm starting IVs now every shift.
All the time.
And as nurses, it's kind of a cool thing we get to do is start IVs.
Yeah.
So I get to not only keep that skill, but sharpen that skill. Where other skills, I get to let go.
Yeah.
Dob hops. Haven't put one of those in years. I'm cool with letting that skill go. Don't miss that. Foley's, we do them occasionally. That's not a skill that I really like to do, but that's something that we have to. Skincare, we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
If they got a pressure ulcer that's coming in, I don't have to worry about, is this a stage 1 or 2 or 3? What am I using? Is this a wet, is it a wet dressing or dry dressing? Like,
yeah.
It's the nurses, the floor nurses that are in charge of that. I'm focused on the procedure.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that is a good question. What do your assessments look like before the procedure? Like, what are you focused on?
So when the patient comes down, one, are they consentable? I think it's, because you have outpatient and inpatient. And then right now in my head, am I debating, is my outpatient and inpatient assessment skills different? And yes, they are. Typically an inpatient, they're going to be typically consentable, but they might not be. So are they consentable, okay, alert and oriented? And if not, then who can consent for this procedure? Okay. 2, are we doing the right procedure? That's kind of important. We've had a recent catch once where a patient came in outpatient for a procedure that was not supposed to happen. They put it on the wrong patient. And luckily our nurse caught that. The patient was supposed to get a port placement on top of, I think it was like a thoracentesis. And the nurse was like, so why are we doing the port placement? The family was like, I don't know. And so investigating it, it was the wrong patient that they ordered the port placement on. Wow. So like kudos to the nurse. So checking up to make sure that we are actually doing the right procedure.
Yeah, they're like, what's this?
What's that? Yeah.
Is this candy underneath there? What is that?
And then, when you put them on the monitor, you put them on basic vitals when they get in. So if their blood pressure, typically they're going to have some like white coat syndrome going on. But I've seen it a few times where they come in and their blood pressure is skyrocketing. And then you have to figure out if this is white coat or they didn't take their blood pressure medications. And if they're getting anesthesia, we don't necessarily want them to take any beta blockers. So trying to troubleshoot that.
Okay.
Way different than the ICU skills. When you walk in, you're looking at your pumps, you're looking at your lines, you're looking at your patient. Here, I'm typically just looking at my patient. Are they anxious, not anxious? Are they consentable? Are they not consentable? Let's get an IV on them. Look at their vitals. Make sure we're doing the right procedure. Yeah. Anything else, they come in with the skin. A lot of patients come in with some type of skin wound. And it's like, well, are you seeing anybody about that? And maybe educating them on that a little bit, but it's not a concern like it is in the ICU.
Sure.
This Q2 hour turns and another benefit, bowel movements. I've cleaned up maybe 5 bowel movements in the 2 years I've been there. Where
It's pretty great.
Whereas an ICU nurse,
Oh, every day, multiple times a day.
every day. And
Every single day.
I hated when, I don't know if you used to do, if you do like lactulose enemas, but where I
Oh,
worked
all
in
the
the
time.
ICU all the time.
Yeah.
And like, if the doctor's like, we get to do can we do a lactulose enema? You're like, it's not we, it's me.
Yeah.
Don't take
Right.
credit for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Right.
doing this.
We actually will do bowel management systems at our hospital. We'll put in like fecal management systems and do
Yeah.
them that way.
A nurse's
Because
best friend is an FMS. Yes.
it's so much better than like, I can't, Q2, get out of here. Like they're unstable right now. I'm not turning them like freaking on their stomach basically to do an enema every 2 hours. Not happening. They would never happen.
No. Yeah. So I went from clean up bowel movements every shift multiple times. My record is 13 in a shift from one patient. It was a shift that the clocks I was a night shifter and the clocks went back an hour. So it's like you get an extra work. And it was
and they made sure to get that extra bowel movement in for you
yes.
for the 13.
And it was an awake patient that did not qualify for an FMS and didn't have C. diff, but it was like a liver patient and just had runny bowel movements. And so, I was rooting for them at the end to keep going because it's like, I want to break my record. Let's get into these. Let's go.
The things that you get excited about as an ICU nurse. Yeah.
But now it's rare that I clean up patients. And if I do, it's, pretty quick. You got the help to do it. You'll have another nurse come running in.
Yeah.
Because they know the pain.
Oh God!
Oh wait, what? I remember
do this alone. No. Oh gosh.
Again, really great work-life balance. At the place I'm working, I get to start at 7:30, which was huge. Mm-hmm. And now a lot of times I'm getting out early. There's times where I get out late as well. In the ICU, I rarely got out late. I would say about 20% of my shifts. I'll get out past the hour that I'm supposed to get out of because for procedure runs long and the nurse who's on call can't relieve you for whatever reason, then you're going to take that until the end. Okay. Being a flight nurse, though, that's not a big deal for me. A lot of my shifts would go over as a flight nurse. So that's nothing new. Where if you're thinking about IR and there's absolutely no way you can get out late, then you're going to have some shifts that run a little bit late.
Okay.
So plenty of reasons why to do it. I think of way more reasons to be an IR nurse than not.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that there are some cons to the job.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to get into that. What are some of the frustrations that
on
you
call?
Find? On call.
On call.
Yeah.
Other on call. Working with a doctor or two that you don't like, and that could be anywhere. Mm-hmm. I feel it's more personal in the IR. And I think the big one, though, for the cons of the IR, besides the on-call, is that it is not a job that I would recommend for a new grad. I think a lot of the listeners here are potentially new grads, and they're, which is why I love this podcast, because you're helping influence so many people that are starting their career in our profession and seeing what is out there. Although IR is out there, I don't think it's the best for a new grad. I think you need to come into it with experience. You need to have been in the ICU or ER or have some experience with conscious sedation, because when we get ICU patients or really sick ER patients that will become ICU patients, you're going to rely on your background to get you through those hairy situations. Right. Where if you were to come in with it without any experience, you don't know what Levofed is. You don't know if the ICU nurse says, hey, my patient's on Levofed, but they're at 7 mics a minute. And you're like, all right, that's not too bad. If they've been solid, steady at 7 mics, it's not like they're maxed out on it. You know what your titration drugs are. You know how the ventilator works. New grads, you don't know any of that. So when that patient comes down from the ICU, you're going to be trying to concentrate on what you need to do, but then you don't know what's going on with the ICU patient. I find that could be a dangerous situation.
Do you generally need ICU/ER experience before going to IR?
I would say you need one or the other. Okay. the ER nurses I work with, they don't have ICU experience. And then the ICU nurses I work with don't have ER experience.
Sure.
And we complement each other great, just like being a flight nurse. Flight
Yeah.
nurse and flight paramedic are like bread and butter together. Just great combo. So an ER nurse, way better at tough IV sticks than I am, but I excel at ultrasound IVs.
Yeah.
And then when a patient comes down and is in critical condition and we need to work fast, the ER nurse is great at that. They're great at working in chaos. ICU nurse comes down and it has to be controlled chaos. I'm great at that because that's my background. So I would say one or the other. Doesn't need to be both, but you have one or the other. We did
More
have
so
one
than
nurse
acute care.
because acute care, you don't have conscious sedation background and you haven't really seen the extremes of medicine.
Yeah.
We did have one nurse that was, she had a background in GI, the conscious sedation GI. So her conscious sedation skills were really good. I just don't, and she eventually left though, and had to go back to Florida, which I know is one of your questions is what happens to nurses after they leave the IR? Where do they go?
Where do they go? Yeah.
Where they go. I'll tell you that one in a second. But that nurse, she was good. She was really good at conscious sedation. And she wasn't there long enough to really give a great conclusion about how she did with ICU patients. But so you can be there without ICU or ER nurse experience is I guess what I'm saying. But she had very strong conscious sedation skills working in an outpatient GI clinic.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure it just depends case by case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do we go from there? Let me answer that question.
So when people leave IR, where do you normally go from there?
Wow. The good news is I haven't seen too many IR nurses leave. They're very happy there. Yeah. One nurse went back to Florida because of her family. Okay. One nurse retired. And then the third nurse in the 2.5 years I've been there became a nurse practitioner. And that's it. We've had 3 nurses. It is a small unit, but we don't have a lot of turnover. Yeah. Because people are happy where we work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for it seems like a great specialty. Seems like, you're getting what you need, work-life balance, hours, you're able to heal, some of this burnout. It seems like it's a really good specialty.
It's there for you and anybody else that needs it down the line.
Yeah.
I am not as passionate about IR nursing as I was about ICU or flight medicine. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
But it is providing me, it's kept me in the game. And I think I have a lot to offer for the nursing profession still. And because of this, I'm able to stay in it a little bit longer.
So what's next for you then? I want to plug your book. The book has been my night shift book. And unfortunately, night shift has been wild lately. So I've only got through like the first few pages, but I'm gripped. Like you're gripped immediately, like with those first 2 scenarios. So I'm excited to listen to it. But yeah, I want you to talk a little bit about your book.
Well, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it as you dive deeper into it. Text me, let me know. Just like, hey, I would love to know about the medicine. Like, did I get it or not get it? Okay. But I'll tell you more about why I wrote the book. So I worked, just like you have or any other nurse has out there, I have worked with amazing men and women. And I want to pay homage to the people that I worked with because I stood on the shoulders of giants for so many years. As a flight nurse, for me, that was the pinnacle of my career. And these men and women got me up and over the pinnacle of my career. They kept me safe and they kept my patients safe. And I've always wanted to give back to them. So I wrote a medical thriller. And here's the thing about medical thrillers. Medical thrillers typically are about like the murdering nurse or it's like that
one that like put a bunch of insulin in IV bags and killed like 400 people or I don't know that story, whatever it is.
We are not controlling the narrative in the entertainment world about our profession. Yeah. And I would like to take that power back. Yeah. So I wrote a medical thriller where the antagonists are weather PTSD, and administrators, and the protagonists are flight nurses and flight medics.
That's
and
awesome.
because it's us versus these scenarios, and that's what it's really like in the flight world.
Yeah.
So I wrote this medical thriller, and a portion of the proceeds will go to nonprofits dedicating to helping organizations dedicated to helping out nurses and flight paramedics as well, or first responders. So debriefing the front lines, that's a nurse-led organization that provides critical debriefing sessions to nurses. 62 Romeo is a nonprofit that's dedicated to helping first responders sleep. I went through that program. And then the third one's the Overwatch Collective, where they provide the services to help first responders find mental health therapists. They'll even pay for the first few sessions for free.
That's awesome.
So it's
Thank you so
it's
much
really
for
cool.
doing that, for putting those in your, proceeds. That's awesome.
So that's become my why, and that's what I want to do is write a few more of these books. But although the idea is great and the why is really good, if it's not entertaining and if it's not gripping, then I got nothing. So hopefully the book will suck you in, and you just have to keep reading it.
I think you got it. I know you got the book next to you, so pull it up. I want to see a picture of it. It's called Ready Left, Ready Right. IDD Finder. So go check it out. It's on Amazon.
It is on Amazon. And the cover, I think you'd appreciate it, says, "Your worst day is their Tuesday."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very much like fair. Medicine.
Yeah.
People's worst day is, well, that's just a shift for you.
Yeah, it is. Dee, this was a great conversation. I had so much fun talking to you.
Likewise, Maggie. I feel better now, by the way. Like
good.
that whole stomach scenario, I just feel all energized. Yes. Yeah. Very therapeutic.
Good. Well, we'll have to have you back on to talk about nurse writing, because we didn't get into any of that. So, and like how that helped your healing process and what that was like for you. And so
I would love that. It's been absolutely huge. I'd love to talk about that, but another time.
All right. Well, it was great talking to you, Dee. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Maggie. Talk to you soon.
That brings us to the end of the show. Thanks for tuning in to Nursing Uncharted. To learn more about today's episode, make sure to explore the show notes at americanmobile.com/nursinguncharted. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a guest. If you're a nurse interested in traveling, visit americanmobile.com to explore the largest database of travel nursing jobs in the industry and the amazing benefits that American Mobile has to offer. Also, a special thanks to producer Jonathan Carey, assistant producers Katie Schraubin and Sam McKay, and Aiden Dykes for the music and editing. Until next time, take care of yourself.